Hi, Susan. It's time for Thirsty Thursday. This is the 10-minute segment where we talk about the things that we've read this week on the internet that we either gave a thumbs up or a thumbs down or just made us laugh.
Right.
Why don't I start us off, actually? So
Okay.
I'm sure everybody heard this week about Apple's iPhone, their new iOS 14.5 update. The big news was there is an app tracking transparency now with it, where before you could like go in and go into each app in the settings and change it so your privacy was protected. But now front and center, when you download an app, it's going to say allow. And if you click allow, that means that that company can track your data. I think this is a big move for people's privacy because now literally I can say, I don't want them to do this. And it's front and center, as I said. Of course, Facebook is pissed about this because what does Facebook make their money on? Using people's data by way of bringing in advertisers so they can really stalk their target audience in a crazy way. And it's for small business. Facebook, advertising on Facebook is still a very big deal. So I'm wondering what you think about this latest development in the ethics of our digital lives.
I'm all over it. I think this is awesome. Like we talked about how we complain that our data is not secure and all of that, and we hate this stuff. So this is the kind of move that's going to address that, right? And I know Scott Galloway talks loud and long about this, about the idea that when you choose Apple, one of the reasons you're paying that much is because you're signing up for a certain security universe. They're not perfect. They've had issues with data sharing on different things. That said, there is a great deal of transparency in the way in which you're sharing when you're sharing with Apple devices. So I guess as somebody who's picked Apple consistently, I'm like, great, let's do this. Let's keep this security thing front and center as it should be.
And I think you and I were talking about this earlier, just the power that these giant tech companies have. We need to keep them in check a little bit here. Because I am.
That said, sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say, I'll say like, yes, privacy, and then all of a sudden convenience wins out, and I don't care. So I'm happy about this development as well. What were you gonna say, Susan?
No, back to the convenience point. Well, this is an awesome feature on the iOS. The other thing is that it can now unlock your phone with your watch while you're wearing your mask, right? I don't have an Apple Watch, but like for everyone that does and wears watches, this is cool because that's one of the things that we've been waiting for Apple to do is mask recognition of face. Yeah.
Now, you wanted to talk about a Twitter account that everybody in Canada has been paying attention to.
Oh, yeah. Vaccine Hunters Canada. It's a Twitter account that literally updates all the time with where appointments are, available, and with this goal of like, let's get Canada vaccinated quickly. And they were obviously doing great. And I heard about them through Rohini, who actually helped me book my appointment through Vaccine Hunters. And she helped like a bunch of us, shout out Rohini. That said, this account is it's social for all the best reasons. It's like, they're amplifying things. They're making sure there's no wastage. There's a grand cause that unites everyone. That said, I believe the government is now starting to partner with them. I can't find the actual facts on it, but
they should. They very much should. It actually, when I started following Vaccine Hunters on Twitter, it actually made me turn my Twitter notifications on again. Like that was the incentive. I'm like, I haven't had these notifications on forever, but because I wanted to see where these last minute vaccinations were going to be available.
Make Twitter great again, wink, wink.
Yeah, right. Twitter can be used for good, folks. The next thing we wanted to talk about was, how we like to talk about our fast food brands and the neat things that they do with their marketing. So I was reading that on May the 4th, aside from the Star Wars reference that everybody makes, Taco Bell is doing a global campaign where basically the moon on May the 4th is going to look like their classic crispy shelled taco. If you hold up a taco like that, that's the shape of the moon on May 4th. The article I was reading was calling it Taco Bell was enlisting the original influencer, like what's had more influence over our planet than the moon. Plus, no matter where you are, you see the moon. So I thought that was a really neat thing. So basically on the 4th, they're going to celebrate that taco. It's kind of supposed to be a unifying thing for their stores around the world. And you can go in and get a free crispy shelled taco that day. So I thought this was just a neat little ploy that they're using. Who doesn't love the moon?
Right? It's check on so many levels. Pop culture reference, unifying visual metaphor. Awesome.
Yeah.
What else did we have? Oh, yes, a quick shout out to 2 Canadian unicorns this past week and a half or so. First, it was Clearbanc, Michelle Romanov, right. Andrew D'Souza, among others. And I thought it was particularly cool because in my head I was thinking, oh, look, dragon turns unicorn, you know, and I wrote my own visual headlines. But, you know, Clearbanc rebranded into Clearco, and that's an interesting move. The second company is Clio, which is, again, a Canadian legal technology kind of company. They're a CRM sort of tool for software for legal. And I thought that was really cool. These are sort of businesses that we hear a lot about here in Canada, but now this is going to, obviously they're probably just getting started, and I'm very excited to see what they do next.
Very cool. Good news stories. The last thing, we'll squeeze this in. We wanted to talk about, I think it's called Athleta. So
yes.
And Nike, basically. So Nike's had some bad news this week. Simone Biles has left them to sign a big contract with Athleta, a GAP-owned athletic apparel company that seems to be growing fast right now. And also this week, I don't know if you heard, but Kobe Bryant's widow basically said she's not renewing the contract with Nike for the Kobe endorsement stuff because of just like shady dealings. You know, she basically did say something that things just it was difficult, a difficult relationship. So 2 big stars leaving Nike this week. Plus I was reading that Wall Street's losing a little faith in our good old Nike. So yeah.
Lots of things going down there. Nike's in a bit of trouble. And I wonder how much of this has got to do with, I mean, Nike's always been great at, and we've talked about them often over the last year or so. They've been good at the right propositions, saying the right things, having the right messaging. But then we're in a time, like we said, where purpose has to go deeper than just statements. You've got to be reflecting that on multiple levels. So it'd be interesting to see how that rolls out. But that said, I'm excited to see this Athleta thing because apparently they have this feminist agenda, very like women and girls empowerment, and I love Simone Biles. So let's see.
Yeah, how this goes. It's a very what I saw, it's very body positive, right? It's kind of all shapes, sizes are represented in their advertising and in their brand visuals, which I think is cool too. It also has a nice minimalist look from what I saw as well. So it looks cool.
Love it.
So last thing we got to do on our checklist for Thirsty Thursday, we have to talk about this week's episode of the 4 a.m. report. Susan, why don't you tell the folks who our guest was and what we spoke about?
We had an interesting guest on this week. Her name is Joy Juckes, and she is a voice and dialect coach that is trained to many stars. And she's talks about the importance of voice. Now, I think as podcasters, we didn't fully think about how important voice is, which is odd. That said, all of us are talking to people at all times, whether it's on video calls. The body language is one part of it, but the actual voice is another part of it. And she had some awesome things to say, including teaching us what a muscle is. the muscle that pulls this. Nice. So anyway, check that out. The link is in the comments.
Thank you, everybody.